Hello, and today we're venturing into the 1960s, the time when women vacuumed their hair into massive beehives, and Jackie Kennedy was in the White House, Beatles of both varieties, colourful psychedelic flowers, missions into space, Carnaby streets, slingback stilettos and go-go boots. But I be embracing the fun, colourful and more cosy side of the 60s. I was absolutely delighted that somebody encouraged me last week after my sewing plans video to sew the 1960s nighty that I've been longing to sew. Not just pattern with its scoop neck gathered onto a ribbon around the neckline with lovely patch pockets at the front, from this absolutely classically 60s turquoise and blue and white brushed cotton. It's so soft and cozy. 1960s flowers are like flowers that children draw, aren't they? I'd say there's about 4 meters of this fabric. It's the vintage narrow width. So I'm going to go up to the loft now and cut out my fabric. So I've cut everything out, and all I was left with was this little pile of scrap fabric. The version that I wanted to do has these 2 large pockets. Here's the pocket. It didn't have any fabric piece large enough for it, but I definitely wanted to do one of those pockets. I did find enough strips that I can join to make up one pieced pocket. And I've started by overlocking, or serging you might say, each pattern piece separately. And there aren't many, there is each sleeve and then the front and the back. And to show you how the gathering up on the sleeves and on the front work, the casing stitched along this line here, and it should be in a bias binding. I would have much preferred to cut out the bias binding from the fabric, but they've only got tiny little bits left, so I am going to have to use a bought bias binding. I've got this one which is at least the right colour, and that is stitched on this line on the sleeve on each side, so that you can then thread the elastic through on the inside. So you can see here that the sleeves, well, I'm doing a slightly longer sleeve, the sleeves are gathered up onto elastic, but the neck edge, actually you thread a ribbon through the casing so you can tie this pretty ribbon at your neckline. And the opening for the ribbon is 2 buttonholes each side of the front. So the front's cut on the fold, so it's all just one big piece, but with these 2 buttonholes about 1 inch apart that you have your bias binding casing sewn around the inside. You just thread your ribbon through and tie it in a bow, and then narrowly hem the top edge here. It's a really simple pattern. So I'm off to start sewing that bias binding onto the pieces to make the casing and sew these pocket pieces together. And I was trying to think of something intelligent. It occurred to me that if you faster sewist than me, it isn't difficult. You could sew up this nighty after an early dinner anyway, and potentially wear it for bedtime. So I was trying to think of something clever, like the walk-away dress. You're supposed to start sewing after breakfast and walk away for lunch. I was thinking, what will you walk away nighty? Because you're about to collapse into bed rather than walk out for lunch. But couldn't think of anything. Walk away dress, collapse into bed nighty. No. Anyway, I'll start sewing and maybe something brilliant will occur to me. I just thought, how about the Say Before Bedtime Nighty? I mean, it's not brilliant. So bad there, is it? The Say Before Bedtime Nighty. I wonder if it will have the same impact as the walkaway dress. We had our doubts, didn't we? So I've measured the elastic for the sleeves by measuring around the widest part of my elbow joint. So I can just pull sleeves down over my arm comfortably, and of course I've allowed a little bit of overlap. And now I'm going to my ribbon threader and thread my elastic through the channel. Decorative, and it's got the blunt end, so that, but you could just use a safety pin. And then I'm going to thread the elastic through. And so that's gathered up onto the elastic. I'm so nervous about losing this ribbon threaded back in its case. I've stitched the bias binding strip around the neck edge about 1.5 inches below as on the pattern, and you can see that this neck is massive. It's just a bit of a bag at the moment, but so easy to sew this nighty. There's no setting in the sleeve, it's all sewn completely flat. The last thing that you sew is the side seams. For the neck edge, I've created my 2 vertical buttonholes here, and then I'm just sliding the ribbon through, and the ribbon goes through a lot easier than the elastic. Although I'm happy with the colour of the ribbon, I'm not really very happy with the quality, so I might swap that out at some point. It's unusual to get modern trimmings that are of the same quality as vintage ones. You can see this is going to be the neck, still quite big at the moment. I'm going to cut the ribbon now, I think, to be able to just pull it up and then tie it in a big bow at the front. Oh, and then at the front I've also got my pocket, a massive pocket. It's just faced at the top. Somewhere there are tailor's tacks telling me where to put it, but I can't I can't find the tailor's tack in the sea of psychedelic flowers. I might just put the pattern piece over to remind myself and then pin this pocket on before stitching that in place. And it is the easiest and most forgiving pattern. I love it actually. I could sew this 1,000,000 times over. It's a really therapeutic thing to sew. The fabric's really jolly, the pattern's really easy. And it's not like one of those going out dresses where you think, oh, I hope I'll have the occasion. You know you're going to wear this. Well, I know I'm going to wear it on the sofa, cuddled up with the dogs. Perfect. So I just wanted to show you where I am with the nighty. It does look a little bit like a bag at the moment. The neckline is gathered onto the ribbon, so I just need to pull that ribbon up. But what I wanted to show you was the construction. So it's all sewn flat. So all I need to do at the moment, I'm going to put it over my head to show you. So see, the ribbon will be pulled up, but what I wanted to show you is how it's sewn completely flat. Front sleeve is attached to the front of the nighty, and then the back sleeve, guess what, to the back of the nighty. So all sewn completely flat, and then the last stage is just for me to pull up the ribbon to create a nice sort of gather around my neckline. Tie it in a pretty bow, do the hemming, sew on the pocket. The YouTube format, it's quite hard to show oneself standing up in what you're wearing, so I'll just lift it up so you can see the pocket, great nice big pocket there. And then you just sew up the underarm seam and the side seams, and you have your nighty. Easy peasy. It's such a fun project to sew as well. 100% recommend. And here is my joyful, nostalgic 60s night dress. And I thought it only appropriate to bring out my little collection of 60s, 70s colourful children's illustrated books. I love the illustrations in children's books. If you think this one looks a bit nibbled, that's because pre-dog I used to home rescue house rabbits. The thing about working as a writer editor for publishing companies is it's not so much that they don't pay very much, it's more that they take a while, if ever, to pay at all. And actually, looking at that nibbled book and remembering my house rabbits made me remember the time when I got so, into arrears with my bills. I actually had a debt collector arrive at the door. I didn't know what he was going to take because all I had was my laptop, which I'd hidden under the rabbit's bedding where he'd never find it. And he started to struggle a bit when one of my most friendly house rabbits came and sat on his feet. And then he said, "What's that?" as my one-eyed three-legged hedgehog I'd rescued from Miss Stiggywinkles made an appearance. And after that, you could see his heart wasn't in it, he couldn't do it, and off he went. I think he'd been chosen for his appearance. He was like 7 foot with a big moustache. He had a heart. And I shall stop walking you down memory lane, although this is rather a burst of nostalgia, I think, making this night dress. For all of you who were around in the 60s or early 70s, I'd love to know if my Bar books or my night dress fabric brings back any memories, or what memories you have of that time. And I thought I'd play out with a full-length film of my night dress, and of course set against the end papers from my Bar the Elephant book. And I love this night dress. If you could feel the fabric, it's incredibly soft and cozy, and the big pocket at the front will be used for carrying all kinds of things. Phone, probably sewing scissors, pins and needles, although they might dig in. Maybe that wouldn't be terribly wise. The dogs are just next to me while I do this voiceover, suggesting that it would be an excellent place for dog treats, but I'm not sure about that. Doggy waistlines are looking a little chunky at the moment. Thank you so much for watching.